Donald Trump Jr. is in Duluth and Winona tomorrow. The Trump tour is focusing on the dozen or so battleground states, of which Minnesota and Iowa are considered. The chairwoman for the Minnesota Republican Party, who has seen the state vote for many Democratic political leaders, sat down with me to talk about the campaign thus far and moving forward the next 2 months. Talk to me about the tour and kind of the reaction you're getting. I know that there's a lot of excitement, but this election being the most important, it is also one of the most controversial.
Yeah, we're very excited about the tour. We started the southern Minnesota swing today. We made stops in Winona and Preston. Now we're here in Rochester. We continue on for another 2 days straight, going all the way over to the west side of the district as well. And we're just seeing record level crowds. We're seeing a level of energy and enthusiasm that we haven't seen in a very long time in our party. People calling us, emailing, stopping in our office saying, what can I do this year to help? What can I do this election cycle?
And that's different because we're in the middle of a pandemic. You would think that there would be a lot fewer people doing that.
That's exactly right. It's been surprising. We normally don't have people stop into our office unless it's for a scheduled appointment or meeting. We have people just coming in all day. Can I do anything to volunteer? Can I get another Trump sign? What can I do to help? How do I get involved? And again, it's unprecedented. It's like nothing we've ever seen. And that just leads us to believe there is an incredible mounting level of enthusiasm.
That brings up a good point. Last week I did an interview with a Boston author who had written an article about the unprecedented times that we're in, the election coming up, and I asked him about shy Trump supporters, and he said that was a myth. Do you believe that that's a myth? And from what you're saying, if they were shy, they're no longer shy.
Yeah, I think in the past, people have been more quiet about their support because you get publicly shamed. You get trolls coming after you on your social media posts, right? You have a Trump sign in your yard, even now, people are ripping them down, they're defacing them. But I think after 4 years of that, people are tired of it and they're saying, you know what? Rip down my sign, go and spray paint it. I don't care. I'm going to let the world know that I stand behind this president.
What do you say about those who call Trump supporters the uneducated, those who are not? It's that put down of those who support the president. Well, they're not real smart anyway.
It's a typical thing that the Democrats do. We don't think the way they do, so we must not be smart. We must not have brains. We must not be intelligent. You know, one of the most important values about our world and humankind is that we are all independent thinkers. We all have different worldviews and ways that we look at things, and there are a lot of us out there that stand behind this president, and it doesn't mean we're any less of people than people that support Democratic candidates. It means actually that we have our eyes open to standing strong for what our country was founded on and believing in the American dream.
How do you separate what you do for a living from what your husband does? Although you are both in the same camp, I think it would be much more difficult if you were in different camps. But how do you separate that?
It's not always easy because on the political side, our jobs overlap in many ways. The nice thing is, at least I'm married to someone that has the same political value system that I have.
Because politics right now divide families.
It does. And so I'm fortunate that I grew up in a family that are strong Republicans. My 96-year-old grandpa is a diehard Republican. I'm married to a Republican. So when I talk about issues that matter to me and that impact me, or things that I see on the news that frustrate me with things going on in the left, watching Minneapolis be burned down twice, right? Watching what's going on in Portland, leaving the White House after the president's acceptance speech a few weeks ago and having rioters spit in our faces. Like, when I can go share the frustration with my husband or my family, they're understanding and they're concerned and they get it. When I try to share some of those stories with my friends on the left, their response is, well, don't you understand why those people spit in your face? And it's like, well, actually, no, I don't. I do not get that at all.
What happens when that does happen to you personally? I mean, not only are you an outspoken conservative, you also work for the party. And when that kind of animosity comes out, how do you handle that? Because animosity comes from both sides.
It does. At the beginning of my chairmanship 3.5 years ago, every little thing would get to me. It just, I had the thinnest skin, everything bothered me, and I've learned after 3.5 years to filter a lot of it out and just stay true to myself and remember that I can stay above the fray and I don't have to be brought down to a level that other people are choosing to action around.
Want to talk about the divide that this country is in right now. It's different because we're in a pandemic from 2016. It's different because Hillary Clinton was a much different opponent than Joe Biden. How is the campaign different moving forward now, 2 months before this election?
This campaign is 100% in full force. It's all about registering voters, talking to voters, contacting them, making sure they know that early voting starts on Friday, September 18th in Minnesota, encouraging people to request their absentee ballots, and making sure every last Republican and Trump supporter gets out to vote this year because it is that critical. So I think we're going to see a very high level of engagement for this election.
How about the critics who say you shouldn't be doing as many face-to-face, because we know on the other side the face-to-face rallies, the meetings, the getting together, the touring isn't happening like it is on the conservative side?
Well, I think on the left they're taking a really bad strategy to campaigning because you can't win votes or flip votes by holding Zoom meetings and just sending mail and mail and mail. You have to actually canvass and go and talk to voters at their doors. You have to call them on the phones. You have to hold events and talk about your values and what you're standing for and what you're fighting for. And the left will continue to attack us because they want to try to force us to go into their game plan, but we're not going to do it. We're going to keep campaigning how we have been, and I think we're going to see some very monumental results.
Moderates. The undecided voters are always the prize in any election. How do you get those?
The moderate and undecided voters, what we're seeing a lot of is people have concern with what's happened in Minneapolis, St. Paul, all over the country.
Is that the biggest issue that you're seeing here in Minnesota with what moderates would tend to vote one way or the other?
It is one of the top issues. I have so many friends that are suburban moms that live in the suburbs of the Twin Cities, and they're scared to send their kids into Minneapolis. One of my best friends said, I would never even let my daughter consider the University of Minnesota at this point. Never. Never will she step foot there. So when you have people talking about defunding the police, standing down while murder rates are rising, right, in a city that used to be beautiful is now unrecognizable, that causes concerns for those middle-of-the-road voters.
What's the biggest challenge the next 2 months will hold for you or the party?
You know, I feel so confident and strong right now with where we're at. I think it's just a matter of we have to just keep going and going and going and double down as to where we are now and make sure that all of our volunteers and activists don't get tired and don't burn out too quickly and that they stay with us.
That's in any election though, right?
Yep.
If Joe Biden wins, do you see Trump supporters throwing this country into an unrest? As we're hearing, if President Trump wins another term, we could be seeing some unrest like we've never seen.
You know, the unfortunate thing about all this is we have seen so much chaos and unrest, but it's all come from the left. When Obama won the country, you didn't see Republicans out destroying cities. When Bill Clinton won, you didn't see us out destroying cities. When Governor Tim Walz won in Minnesota, you didn't see us out protesting and burning down buildings. So if Joe Biden wins, it will not happen. I'm confident of that. There will be no unrest from our side, but I hope that on the other side they can be civil and accept that the American people have spoken for another 4 years.